This new Marvel's film, which began its life as a sequel to Captain Marvel, was reworked into this ensemble film. Brie Larson remains as the primary star, as Carol Danvers, of course. It also stars Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau and Imam Vellani as Kamala Khan. Now, everything about the trailers for this film so far have been about as underwhelming as you can imagine. In fact, what's really astounding to me is just how something that looks so utterly mediocre got greenlit in the first place. Ever since wokeness took over Hollywood, I guess 6 or 7 years ago at this point, we've been lectured to about how representation and the message was as important, if not more important, than the quality of a film's story and the writing. Well, after numerous recent commercial and critical failures, could Disney be about to learn what it seems to have forgotten? That the message and woke moral lecturing is not popular, and that the only thing audiences really care about is quality of story and writing. The film has to be good in order to justify a sequel, and projects should no longer be greenlit just because they tick diversity boxes. This article is from Bounding Into Comics. The Marvel's director, Nia DaCosta, reveals Kevin Feige lukewarm on her pitches for a sequel, says success of female-led films now depends on whether or not the movie's good. To be honest, I thought the success of any film depended on whether it was actually good. In a revelation that comes as no surprise given both the eyebrow-raising quality of the film's trailers and its parent studio's current lack of direction, the Marvel's director, Nia DaCosta, has revealed that Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige has been back and forth with his feelings towards her helming of a third Captain Marvel-related outing. DaCosta shared her uncertainty regarding the Marvel Cinematic Universe futures of both her and her film's titular trio during a recent interview with Total Film magazine. "I'll pitch Kevin 17 versions of what can happen with all these women, and why and how and this and that," the director recalled, as per an excerpt of her interview provided by The Direct. And he's like, "Okay, girl, and sometimes I think I've really got a movie going after this, and then other times I'm like, oh, they have this whole other plan that I'm not part of." To this end, DaCosta would later explain to the magazine that at this point in time, with Hollywood having taken great strides in representation, the success of female-led films, including the Marvels, was now truly dependent on their quality rather than any inherent messaging. And of course, the quality of the film will no doubt determine its box office performance. In terms of women-led films and women as superheroes in particular and excitement around that, I think it's really just about whether or not the movie's good, said the Candyman 2021 director, especially now we have more and more films that are female-led, that are action-based or superhero-based. Perhaps finally then, lessons are going to be learned because it's high time audiences were listened to. It's important to say there's been many successful and much-loved female-led action films over the years. Remember that exhaustive list I put together of female action movies produced before 2019? There sure were a lot of them. But I remember when Captain Marvel came out in 2019, we were suddenly told how groundbreaking it was to have a female superhero in the primary role, as if we'd never seen a woman in such a role before. It was just bizarre. The woke thing was very much a novelty and gimmicky marketing stunt, inserting divisive political messaging into films that were substandard at best, but audiences were being told that they were somehow significant, trailblazing and trend-setting movies based purely on putting women in traditionally male action hero roles. But I think the issue has never been with women as action heroes in the fantasy and science fiction genres, because there's been lots of them over the decades. The issue is that with many recent examples of female-led action films, they've pushed modern feminist empowerment messaging. That's the problem. So the male characters are often denigrated or emasculated, while the women are hyper-masculinized and told they don't need a romantic relationship with a man to be happy. Either that, or the female character is presented as a Mary Sue who can do no wrong, whose only obstacle is the patriarchy oppressing her, in whatever form that takes in the story. The strong, independent female trope has become tired and something that audiences no longer want to see, primarily because it's unrealistic, off-putting, and denies the character important, fundamental human qualities like vulnerability, likability, and relatability, aspects of a character that are very important in order for audiences to connect with the protagonist in the story. Here's a related article from Bounding into Comics also. Jungle Cruise star Emily Blunt slams Hollywood's idea of a strong female lead. It's the worst thing ever when you open a script and read those words. Emily Blunt doesn't seem to care for Hollywood's woke characterization of women, as The Edge of Tomorrow and Jungle Cruise star recently revealed that she has no love for the media's recent infatuation with the concept of the strong female lead. It's the worst thing ever when you open a script and read those words, strong female lead, Blunt stated during a recent interview with The Telegraph. That makes me roll my eyes. I'm already out. I'm bored. The actress would then opine, those roles are written as incredibly stoic. You spend the whole time acting tough and saying tough things. Yes, I completely agree. These sullen, cold, unlikable, robotic, one-dimensional characters that we've seen in plenty of films, completely devoid of any femininity. What's interesting is that, as the article points out, Emily Blunt played a genuinely tough female character in the film Edge of Tomorrow from 2014, Sergeant Rita Fertaschi. But that character had relatable qualities. She had flaws, vulnerabilities, and she wasn't perfect. She also didn't constantly berate, lecture, or upstage Tom Cruise's character of William Cage. They complemented each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they respected each other. I recently reviewed Edge of Tomorrow, great film. If you haven't seen it, I'll include the review linked below. So I think it's positive that we're starting to see signs now that modern films can no longer get a free pass just because they push the message. Call me overly optimistic, but perhaps Disney has at last learned its lesson. Maybe the penny has finally dropped. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.